Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to my coverage of Rocket Lab. Hoping to see an awesome launch today. I'm really excited about this one because Rocket Lab they're not trying to actually catch their rocket this time yet with a helicopter, but they are going to be doing something really exciting, which is they're going to be still trying to recover the rocket. They're going to let it splash down after parachute reentry, but they are going to let their helicopter pilot go and rendezvous nearby in the same airspace as it. So hopefully providing some really good camera views of reentry and or the vehicle under parachutes. So I think this is going to be really cool. I'm going to give them a ton of grace if they aren't able to actually get a good live feed to us from a helicopter in the middle of the ocean, because let me tell you, as a someone that does live streaming, that does not sound easy. I do not envy the person that had to try to put together a live stream on a helicopter in the middle of the ocean. But just like all of our launches, anytime we have a launch and you guys need to know any of the information about this launch, is it launching from this side or that side? What's it launching? Where's it going? Are they going to recover it, et cetera, et cetera? Just go to everydayastronaut.com, click on pre-launch previews or the upcoming launches, and you can get a list of our pre-launch previews. And here you go. This is Love at First Insight, a mission by Rocket Lab and riding on, of course, the wonderful Electron. So let's get through a couple of these things here, and then I'll get to you guys' questions. I'm going on early for you guys because you did ask me to. So I normally always go on T-minus 30 minutes. You will see the clock there. It says T-minus 33 minutes. So I went on just a little early for you guys so that, so we can all watch this together. I figure that'd be fun. Why not? All right, so this is scheduled to take off at basically at 1:38 UTC or 14:38 New Zealand time, or for me, that's going to be 7:38 p.m. Central Standard Time, or Central Time. I don't know, Standard or Daylight. I don't know, Standard. I don't know how that stuff works. Mission name: this is Love at First Insight, which is 2 Earth observation microsatellites for BlackSky's constellation. Very cool. Launch provider, of course, this is a Rocket Lab launch. Who is paying for this mission? This is actually Spaceflight Inc. for BlackSky. So Spaceflight Inc. It's almost like they're a travel agent of sorts. They're just the ones saying they have a customer coming in, and the customer's like, "Hey, I want to do this." They go, "All right, we'll book you a ride." Blah blah blah. And Spaceflight got BlackSky on an Electron, so that's really cool. The rocket for this again is the Electron. It's the only rocket currently flying from Rocket Lab. I still hold a little hope in our heart that maybe this year we'll still hear more about Neutron, get some kind of update about Neutron. I want to hear about it so bad. That's going to be really, really cool. That's their next upcoming rocket, which I just can't wait to learn more about. But I think at this point we will have to wait a little bit. Launch location. This is going to be Launch Complex 1A from the Māhia Peninsula in New Zealand. The payload masses, these are about 120 kilograms, so 260 pounds. That's only about really half of what the Electron is capable of, but I'm guessing these are more volume constrained. These 2 satellites are stuffing the fairing pretty much to the max here of the Electron. They're fairly large satellites for a small sat, if that makes sense. Where are these satellites going? To a 430-kilometer circular low Earth orbit launch at a 42-degree inclination. So, that's what it is. Will they be attempting to recover the first stage? Yes, this will be their 3rd attempt at recovering a stage. Again, this is not the full-blown, so where will this first stage land? It will softly land in the ocean, so a splashdown about 650 kilometers downrange from the launch pad. So what is that, like 400 miles or so? So that's, notice they are splashing this down this time. They are not going to be attempting to recover it with the helicopter this time, but the helicopter, again, what's exciting, they're slowly introducing elements. They're trying to do little bits here and there to make sure this is a safe thing, to make sure everything's looking good, reliable, repeatable, something that can actually, put a human life out there in the exclusion zone and trust that they're going to be safe. So this will be the first time they actually get someone out there downrange in the exclusion zone, and they have the helicopter basically rendezvous with it to just make sure that, this all looks feasible before they try to actually scoop it out of the sky, because that is the ultimate goal. Is this booster is going to come back in from reentry, pull a parachute, glide around for a while, and then this helicopter is going to fly up and swoop it out of the sky. Will be one of the most Wile E. Coyote things ever, and I can't wait. I think that's going to be awesome. So, will they be attempting to recover the fairings? Nope, that's not something that Rocket Lab does. for now. I've not heard any plans for them wanting to do that yet. Are these fairings new? Yes. The weather is looking, last I saw actually on their Twitter, it was looking great. So let me see if I can try to pull that up here again. I think they had I don't think they were talking about any weather concerns. Upper level winds are approaching limits. Shoot, as we get closer to T0, stay tuned for updates. That was about 4 minutes ago. So of course, upper level winds are approaching the limits. So we'll have to wait until they go live. They will be going live here in about 10-15 minutes, and that should give us an update on the actual weather, the latest. So, yeah, this will be the first time that a helicopter will track Electron's descent, at least up close, or maybe period, I guess. Third planned ocean splashdown recovery mission, awesome. Fifth Rocket Lab launch of 2021, the 22nd Electron launch, and the 112th orbital launch attempt of 2021. So yeah, if you want to learn any more about this, like the BlackSky satellites that they're launching, here's the cool way they stack these satellites. Really, really cool. They're able to do payload stacking on a vehicle this size. I just love that. I think that's pretty awesome. Reminds me very much of Kerbal Space Program. And yeah, there you go. There's the BlackSky Earth observation satellites that are going to be launching. So if you want to learn anything more about this, or about Rocket Lab's recovery, or about the upgraded hardware that they're putting on this particular vehicle, and as they continue to recover and practice recovery, go ahead and read through this. It should give you a decent amount of information all about all this stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and give a quick thank you to Maria Kisleva for writing this awesome article. So again, everydayastronaut.com. Click on the upcoming launches and you'll get a rundown. So everyone say thank you to Maria for writing this article for us. And yeah, let's get to some of your questions. What do you guys think? I think we got some time, and I'm going to keep an eye here on Rocket Lab's Twitter feed as well, since they're teasing that the upper level winds may not be ideal. So how is everybody? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Oh, wait, a little surprised when you refresh the website and look in the header. Well, I'm going to do that now. What are you talking about? Hang on. I'm going to do that right now. Oh, it has a little live button. Hey, is that... Really? Wait, so if you click on that, does it go to the video even? Really? Wait, oh, whoa. Hang on. Sorry, I messed that up. Look at this. Website, guys. You guys are crazy. That's really cool. So I guess if I'm live, you can just see here, and up top it just goes live, and then it takes you live. You can just see here, and up top it just goes live. Okay, I'm impressed. That's a fun treat. I really like that. Thank you. Oh, I'm getting monitorception. So I'm getting very distracted now at this point. Thank you, web crew, for doing that. That's really, really cool. Now what's happening? Now it's like, it keeps coming back. Okay, let me get back into, I'm just going to go everydayastronaut.com so I can pull this up if I need to. Okay, so I'm going to keep an eye on their Twitter feed so that if we know anything else. But meanwhile, I'm going to start answering some of your guys' questions. So first off, remember, you don't have to, do super chats or anything like that. Our mods will be pulling up some good, relevant questions to hopefully get in front of my face. And if you ask a good question, I will gladly answer it. I'm excited to talk about that. So thank you, Human Bean, for becoming a member, by the way. Let's see. Everyday Astronaut, could they catch Neutron with a bigger helicopter? So, you have to think about, so Neutron is their next launch vehicle. It's going to be kind of Saturn 5, going to be kind of Falcon 9 sized vehicle. It's easy to forget how big the Falcon 9 itself is. And Neutron will be a little bit smaller than the Falcon 9, but it's still a medium class launcher. It's going to be a very, very large rocket. At some point, you run out of the capability of even the most powerful, most capable helicopters, and you start thinking, okay, well, I guess we'll have to build our own. And then you look at, okay, the research, development, production costs, operation costs, mechanics costs of operating a helicopter of that size, and all these different factors, compared to just if you're starting from scratch like they are with Neutron, they're planning to propulsively land it. They're planning to do something similar to what the Falcon 9 does, which is land it under the engine's own power. Because when you think about that, when you really start breaking it down, the only thing you need is a little bit, enough power to lift a little bit more fuel than what you need. You need your first stage to be a little bit more capable than what you're actually utilizing. So if you're trying to say, let's launch, say they're trying to launch 5,000 kilograms to low Earth orbit. Let's say that's their target. You design your first stage booster to just be able to do a little bit more than that. You stretch the tanks, whatever it takes to get a little bit more performance out of it, and then just use that little bit of fuel. And the operation cost at the end of the day is probably likely, when you do the math and you do all the analytics of it, it's likely much cheaper to just simply have the booster land itself than to have to try to have a large, massive helicopter or a fleet of helicopters or whatever try and do that. So yeah, we don't know too much more about Neutron. And again, I do hope that we hear more about Neutron on this stream. I don't know. I hope at some point that they give us some kind of clue, because I am dying to learn more about Neutron. So, all right, this is a good question here from SpaceX Recap. How many engines will they use for Electron? Electron has 9 engines on its first stage. 9 Rutherford engines, very similar to the Falcon 9. And then on the upper stage, it has a single vacuum optimized Rutherford engine. So they will always be utilizing all 9 of them at liftoff. The good thing is, those 9 engines do offer some redundancy, that if one of them were to go out, I don't know about the full, depending on the flight envelope and the characteristics of the flight, there's a chance that, they could lose an engine 20 seconds into flight and the vehicle should continue nominally or normally. So, I think that's pretty darn cool. So, okay. This is from our friend Musical Wolves. How's it going, Musical Wolves? Thank you so much for always your generous donations. Will the booster need to reignite to slow down to a speed where a helicopter can catch it for when they do try to catch it? No, they have. This is actually one of my favorite things about the Electron Rocket, is because it uses electric pumps. They basically just have electric battery-powered pumps to spin the engines, to power the engines. You can run the tanks basically completely dry, because the biggest risk to a turbo pump is if you start having, starting to suck up air bubbles or start to get near the bottom of the tanks. All of a sudden, you start getting these cavitations in the pumps, and you start getting these big pressure fluctuations, and poof, you blow up the engine. An electric pump doesn't really care that much if all of a sudden it's like, I'm out of gas, it just doesn't matter as much. So they can basically run the tanks completely dry, or a lot more dry. And that also means that they don't have, at least with the current setup with Electron and Rutherford, they don't have a relight capability on the first stage. So that does mean that when they come in for reentry, they basically are just gritting their teeth and letting the booster come in for reentry on its own. And so what they've had to do is they've had to beef up the heat shield at the base of the rocket. And then the cool thing is, this is a very lightweight rocket. Its mass fraction must be phenomenal because it's using carbon composites, very lightweight tanks, lightweight engine sections. It can slow down enough and remove enough of the energy through the upper atmosphere to be able to safely pull a drogue chute out and then a subsequent full parachute. And it can get that totally open before they get into that potential for catching. So by the time the helicopter's around it, it will be fully under a parachute, and they should have several minutes to actually, they should actually have several minutes to go and try to reconnect it and actually capture the vehicle. So I'm sure we're going to get these questions a lot. I probably should stop teasing things like this. Further news, production's still moving actually quite smoothly for the new rocket models. Yeah, and by the way, I was working with Jada, with Roger from Jada Products. So I don't know if you maybe have owned Jada Products if you're a Tesla owner. He took care of all the manufacturing and design and a lot of the brunt work of this model and this production. It's going to be awesome. We're in communication often with how to, with where we're at in the production stages. They're getting painted right now, basically. We're still hoping to try to get them to shore somehow by the end, or basically by December, in mid-December, so that we could maybe ship most of them out or some of them out before the holidays. If not, it might be something that you have on a wish list and is coming as soon as possible. But that is something that we're really, really excited about. It's going to be a very high quality, hopefully the highest quality model that you can easily buy without like meticulously hand building it yourself. highest model Falcon 9 at first, so it will be awesome. I'm really, really excited. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Thank you very much from me. Let's see. This is from Salty Heathen. Hi from New Zealand. What's my view on the Russian satellite being destroyed? This is another thing that I knew we'd be talking about a lot. To be honest, I think most people out there in the entire world have heard everything about it and know everything about it. I definitely am disappointed that happened. It jeopardizes a lot of our capabilities. I don't want to start Kessler syndrome and have low Earth orbit, a giant debris field that's impassable. It was disappointing. And I thought we were kind of beyond that. It was pretty bad when India did the same thing 2 years ago. It's bad when the US did it before that, and China. I mean, this is not good. This is not a good thing. We should not be doing this anymore. But I am disappointed because at least when India did it, they shot it down at it was 200 kilometers or something in altitude, low enough that most of the debris from that satellite deorbited by now, 2 years later. That still sucks. 2 years of a debris field. But this is going to last several years, if not decades, and that's not good. So yeah. Yeah, not good. Oh, people are asking what's in the Firefly box. I just opened it recently. It's actually an alpha that I have over on my shelf right there. Yeah, forgot to move the box. My bad. This is something we've also not heard a ton about either, Mark B. I don't have a date or any more information about their Wallops launch. I hope that happens soon. It's been open now or basically complete for 2 years. They did the ceremony 2 years ago. Really excited for them to launch from the US. I know they've had some problems with getting stuff certified to be able to launch from there. But I really hope that I really, really hope that happens soon because, yeah, that'll be really fun to see the Electron launching from the US. Thank you very much, KW, and hi to KW's students. I absolutely love when teachers and when did Rocket Lab go live?
But this third time includes the introduction of that helicopter that will simulate flying in formation with the returning booster as a test for future attempts to recover the booster from the air with a helicopter instead. We have cameras stationed on the chopper and will hopefully be able to bring you live views of Electron's return from space from about T+10 minutes after liftoff. Regardless of whether we get those live shots, we will bring you updates throughout this broadcast on those operations as soon as we have them.
Test toggled and successful.
Thank you. Sorry, for some reason, normally I hear it, and for whatever reason, my computer decided I'm not going to let you know that this stream started. So I am sorry. Oh, are my minutes way off?
And LD confirms.
Yes, they are.
I am monitoring mission called LD.
1 second, I'll fix that.
On the satellites on board today's mission, we've had to lengthen Electron in order to fit the 2 Gen 2 satellites for BlackSky inside Electron's fairing. These payloads are the company's latest observation smallsats for their low Earth orbit constellation. They capture high-resolution images of our planet that are combined with BlackSky's artificial intelligence platform to analyze and make sense of those images, to track trends from a region's economic recovery from COVID-19 through to international cargo transport, and provide analytics and insights to industries including infrastructure, land use, defense, supply chain management, and humanitarian aid. Love at First Insight is the first of 3 back-to-back dedicated missions for BlackSky, with the next targeted for liftoff during a 2-week launch window that opens before the end of this year. The beauty of owning and operating the world's first private orbital launch site means that Rocket Lab is uniquely capable of launching to where and when our customers want to on their timeline. BlackSky and Spaceflight are using that advantage to launch these satellites quickly over the next few weeks and deliver insights to decision makers around the world faster. Earlier, we caught up with Spaceflight at Launch Complex 1 to talk through the mission.
So I'm going to go ahead and use this time to answer a few more of you guys' questions. These interviews, you can always see pop up later. But I wanted to try to get a few more of you guys' questions. Again, sorry, let me apologize. For some reason, my thing did not at all mention that, hey, they're live. So my bad. I apologize. Don't worry, guys. We will do the pointy end up, flaming end down check in the near future. I have not forgotten about you guys. Let's see. People were asking... This is great news for Paul. We've released a full draft to Patreon members or Patreon supporters and YouTube members this last weekend. So we got lots of feedback, which is great. That's exactly why we do this. It was a full draft with basically everything, but we were still finishing a few graphics that we kind of had just placeholders in. But we are literally in the very final steps of this stupid video. I am so over it, but it feels really, really good. It's going to be the most definitive resource. If you've ever been like me and don't know, it's just very overwhelming to try to learn about what engines run what rocket. If they're, for me, I'm familiar with engines inside the US, but I was very uncomfortable when it came to the RD-263 and RD-268, RD-270, RD-275 and 180 and 181 and 170 and blah, blah, blah. What are all these engines? I promise you're going to learn about it. I'm really excited. It's definitely the best video that I've ever made. And I want to knock on wood, say I'll never pursue something this hard again. But I do kind of believe that this is the ultimate in hard videos to make because it's insane. We cover over 75 engines in an hour and a half. And chart them all out in a family tree and talk about specific things about every single one of them. To get it right was really, really, really hard. So, yeah. I hope that answers all your guys' questions. But yeah, you guys have been very patient with me, and I'm really excited. I can't wait to show you guys. So, yes, of course, coffee enthusiasts. Of course, we are now looking at that now. Sorry if that's pretty obvious now, but we are tuning into their official live stream. Let's see. Jude in our Discord has a good question asking, do I think Neutron will end up being fully reusable like Terran R and Starship or only partially reusable like Falcon 9? Was it me or did Peter Beck end up saying fully reusable as potentially as a gaffe, just in passing in an interview? Said the words fully reusable and we all kind of latched onto it. I feel like I heard that, and I'm going to wait until, we have more information about Neutron. If they do go for full reusability, the thing is, honestly, of all companies, I don't know why Rocket Lab just really impresses me with how plucky they are. So if they do say they're going to go for full reusability, I feel like they would have a good solution for it. Let's tune in here for a little bit more.
We already deployed earlier this year, and the next 2 missions to come represent the largest number of satellites BlackSky has committed to a single launch provider to date, and we are thrilled to be back on the pad with them once again today. A check-in on the countdown clock tells us we are just seconds away from the go, no-go poll for launch by this mission's launch director, Adam Slee. Let's listen into Mission Control and hear how we are shaping up for liftoff today.
Sweet. I hope that hope it's not scrubbed. Yeah, so we're
All
talking
stations.
Discord.
This is LD on mission cord. We're proceeding with the go, no go sequence at this time. Stage, you go.
Stages go.
Avionics.
Avionics is go.
GNC.
GNC is go.
Beacon.
Beacon is go.
T1.
T1 is go.
GC.
GC is go.
PLS.
PLS is go.
RSO.
RSO is go.
MET.
MET is go.
MM.
MM is go.
Recovery.
Recovery is go.
LD sup.
LD sup is go.
And can confirm execs go. We're currently T-minus 11 minutes 24 seconds and counting. We are currently go for the terminal count start at T-minus 10. From this time, the 3-way procedure is in effect.
That's good news. They're still go. So I should point out, of course, for those of you new to the Electron, it's mostly black. The whole body is typically black.
Confirmation from our launch operators that Electron, the payload, and our crew are ready for launch, and we will be proceeding with the remainder of the count. Our Electron recovery team stationed offshore are also ready to proceed. The T0 liftoff time remains 2:38 p.m. New Zealand local time or 1:38 a.m. UTC. Electron is a two-stage launch vehicle purpose-built as a dedicated rocket to small satellites. Standing 18 metres tall, Electron's iconic black look comes from its carbon composite structure that is both incredibly strong and extremely light, allowing us to really optimise the vehicle's lift capacity for its size. Electron remains the world's first carbon composite rocket to reach orbit and also boasts another world first in its 3D printed Rutherford engines that power both the first and second stages of the vehicle. These engines are fueled by a mix of liquid oxygen and RP1, a highly refined kerosene, and major components like the combustion chamber can be printed within just 24 hours. We've flown more than 200 of these engines to space, with today's mission bringing the count to 220. Housed on top of the second stage within the fairing is our kick stage, equipped with its own Curie engine, flight software and other systems to function as an orbital transfer vehicle to deliver payloads to their exact destination in space. With the kick stage travelling at up to 27,000 kilometres an hour, inserting the payload to its specific orbital plane is a complex task that requires precision and flawless timing. It takes a dedicated team of engineers and technicians hours of systems testing and checks and rechecks of every aspect of the vehicle and payload before our launch director gives the go to proceed with launch. Here's what goes into preparations and mission readiness in the hours before launch.
The countdown to launch is the most closely...
Again, these are little clips that they normally play like each time. So if you want to see those, you can find them on their page. But so we had some good questions here that I wanted to try to go over. So again, notice that the rocket is black. Like the rocket is mostly black. Yeah, there's some bands of white and red now with some of the recoverability stuff and the upgrades. But the rocket is black, and it's just insane to think that when it's sitting on the pad, it's like half black, half white, which is just crazy. And that's because, of course, where it's white is where the liquid oxygen is stored. And liquid oxygen, again, is minus 183 degrees Celsius. In order to take oxygen from a gas, boil it down, get it cold enough to become a liquid, you have to be like minus 180 something degrees Celsius. So very, very, very cold. And of course, the humidity in the air will stick to that cold environment, and it will turn into ice, and you'll just basically have this blanket of ice on the outside of the rocket. And yeah, that obviously weighs something. They have to take all that into consideration. Some of it will flake off at launch. That's normal too, but this is one of the rockets that is the most obvious with. And actually, when I've been doing a bunch of research and learning more and more about Soviet rocket engines and things like the R-7 and Soyuz and stuff, I was reminded that the Soyuz is not white. For some reason, I always think it's white, because you always see it on a pad sitting there fueled up. But I forget, it's like, this off-white color most of the time and greenish, kind of that weird green. But yeah, there we go. We can see there. That was a perfect example of it getting iced over. So super cool. I just love seeing that. So this is from Musical Wolves. Does the 430 kilometer low Earth orbit have a small chance to interfere with the ISS, or is it going in a direction where no chance? So it's at 41 degrees inclination. So it is at a different inclination. So basically, say you have like a hula hoop around a basketball. The basketball spinning underneath the hula hoop. One would be the International Space Station is at 51.6 degrees. And usually around that 400 kilometer altitude, this is going to be, tilted a little bit more equatorial. At, I believe it's 41 degrees or 40 degrees or something like that. So it's a little different inclination. But it's, it is going to be higher altitude. These satellites will be higher altitude than the ISS is, basically, period. But, they're always, aware and tracking all the objects. So they have to do sometimes maneuvers to make sure they ensure they do not have any collisions. So,
as you can see, it's a massive team effort to deliver BlackSky's payloads to orbit today. Our operations are on track and remain green for an on-time liftoff at 2:38 p.m. local time. So in Discord, we're talking about how much pressure can
are the tanks, and I'm guessing it's probably most rockets are between 5 to 6 bar, so 5 to 6 times out of atmospheric pressure. And Corona Kivo on our Discord said, well, shouldn't it be the same as a COPV or a composite overwrapped pressure vessel? This is basically just the overwrapped part of the pressure vessel. It's not a COPV, because the COPV still has an aluminum liner or some kind of liner that's metal. That can be insert. I think it is normally aluminum, but then that is tightly wound with carbon fiber, carbon wrapping, in order to make sure it really stays together. So this is basically remove the liner, and you're left with just the wrapping, the overwrap part. So it's definitely not capable of anywhere near a COPV, which can be hundreds and hundreds of bar pressure. If you made a rocket out of that, it'd be a lot more mass inefficient. It'd be a lot heavier.
Let's delve a little bit more into how the recovery operations for this mission will take place. At around 2.5 minutes after liftoff, following normal launch procedure, the 9 Rutherford engines on Electron's first stage will shut down, and Electron's first and second stages will separate. Electron's second stage will continue with the BlackSky satellites to space, where the kick stage will later separate and deploy the satellites. While the mission continues, Electron's first stage will begin its descent. A cold gas reaction control system will position the stage on an ideal angle to re-enter the atmosphere and help Electron to handle the 2,200 degrees Celsius heat and incredible pressure.
We're going to speed up a little bit. I guess I'm a little behind.
Electron's booster is expected to reach up to 8 times the speed of sound before significantly decelerating to enable a drogue parachute to be deployed. That will take place at approximately 7.5 minutes into the mission, deploying at around 43,000 feet or 13 kilometers in altitude. This drogue parachute both increases the booster's drag and stabilizes its descent as it approaches the ocean. Earlier and higher than on previous flights, the large main parachute will be deployed less than a minute after the drogue at an altitude of 19,000 feet or 5.7 kilometers to further slow the stage and enable a controlled splashdown. Upon receiving the all-clear from the recovery team stationed at sea, the nearby helicopter will be deployed to sight the returning stage and follow its descent. A key objective of this mission is to increase the drift time of Electron's first stage, to test communications and tracking for future aerial recovery efforts.
There we go. Now we're caught up.
Once in the ocean, Rocket Lab engineers will attempt to retrieve Electron's first stage on board their vessel with their purpose-built Ocean Recovery and Capture Apparatus, or ORCA, a specialized cradle and winch system manufactured to Electron's specifications, before securing the stage and transporting it back to Rocket Lab's production complex for analysis and inspection. With a live camera on the recovery helicopter, we will do our best to bring the video feed to you during the webcast. But of course, if we can't, we will keep you updated on those recovery events throughout the broadcast and on our social media. We are approaching, though, the final moments in the lead up to liftoff now, with just 2 and a bit minutes remaining on the clock. All systems are go and the weather is clear for T0. Very soon, Electron's flight computers will take over and command the countdown to launch. Once auto sequence begins, about 30 seconds later, we should hear the call that fueling Electron with liquid oxygen has been completed. Confirmation of first and second stage pressurization should follow. Then on to the final 60 seconds and T-minus 10-second countdown before Electron lifts off the pad for our 20-second launch from Launch Complex 1. We're going to switch to the mission control comms channels now to listen in ahead of liftoff.
Sweet. I need to get in here real quick. Pointy end is up, flaming is down. Can confirm they are go for launch. I can confirm that. Pointy end is up, flaming end is down, my friends. Let's see this thing launch today. Whew. It's been a while. Rocket Lab, let's do this. Oh man. I really hope that we get to see footage from the helicopter of re-entry and
vehicle is on internal power. AFTS is green and enabled for flight.
Copy avionics.
That's awesome. We are getting close, guys.
LOX load is complete. System is in recirculation.
I'm feeling good. So it looks like a beautiful day. I hope that the upper level winds maintain not being an issue.
Anti-geysering is disabled.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 tanks are pressed.
We have a lot of really good questions here that I'm seeing, guys. I will get to
High
as
flow
many of them
engine purge is
as I
enabled.
can at a good time, but now that we're within T-minus 1 minute, I'm just going to listen in and enjoy this launch with you guys, and then I'll pop back in at the end and answer as many questions as I have time for.
Deluge activated.
T-minus 20 seconds.
I like that shot.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Confirm liftoff.
Stage 1 propulsion's nominal.
Love that rocket.
Entered stage 1 burnout detect mode.
We are at T plus 46 seconds, and there goes another Electron on its way to space for this 20-second launch from the pad from Rocket Lab Launch Complex 1. Soon the rocket will experience its peak amount of stress as it travels incredibly quickly over a large distance. This moment is called maximum aerodynamic pressure, or what's known as max Q, and is one of the first gates Electron needs to clear to make it to orbit.
The camera's got a lot of condensation on it.
And past max Q.
Oh, God.
And we have passed max Q, and Electron is continuing the journey to space. Propulsion looks nominal on Electron's first stage as the rocket approaches the next major milestones of launch. In a few moments, Electron's 9 Rutherford engines will throttle down and then shut off completely to slow the rocket down. This milestone is called main engine cutoff, or MECO, and it occurs just before Electron's first and second stages separate. Once that's happened, very quickly, Electron's 10th engine on the second stage will light up to maintain its trajectory and continue carrying the 2 satellites to orbit. After these launch events are cleared, it's then that our rocket recovery operations begin, with the boosters' descent back to Earth. But first, let's wait to hear the call out from Mission Control that those events have occurred successfully.
By the way, that little kind of T-shaped little thing you're seeing, that is actually one of those little tiny,
15 seconds to MECO.
one of those little tiny COPV thrusters, or cold gas thrusters. So they're little itty bitty little, as Elon would call them, mouse farts, and those are what are going to help control the stage during re-entry, before re-entry, to help align it. So get ready, they're coming up on main engine cutoff.
MECO confirmed.
Stage separation successful.
Yeah, that looks clean.
Stage to ignition.
2 cameras on stage separation like that on stage 2.
There you have it. Electron has had a successful MECO, stage separation, and second stage engine start. Stage 1 recovery operations will now proceed with the vehicle's successful stage separation. We are moments away now from Electron's fairing ejection. Let's keep an eye on our screens for that.
Beautiful shot. Just stunning. There we go. See, fairings. Yes.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Electron's fairing has successfully separated as we get ready to deploy the 2 BlackSky satellites to their low Earth orbit within the hour. In about 1 minute or so, Electron's first stage will reach apogee. Now when the first and second stages separated, Electron's booster is still traveling at such a speed that it continues moving upward before gravity begins to take over. So once Electron's first stage reaches apogee, or its highest point, the only place for it to go next is back down. We should hear that call soon from Mission Control.
That's first stage there on the right. So it's orienting itself right now, engines first. Really cool shot. Wow. At least I hope it is.
Okay, we are just past T plus 4 minutes into flight, and Electron Stage 2 is travelling nominally at a speed of over 8,000 kilometres an hour and an altitude of over 167 kilometres. In less than a minute, Electron's first stage should reach apogee with orientation of the stage underway as planned.
So basically it flipped 180 degrees because there's, engines at the bottom, but now they're putting the engines at the top, and it's going to just coast like this and land and come in through re-entry
Stage
engines
2
first.
propulsion is nominal.
Stage 1 apogee.
Okay, now stage 1 will begin falling back, so it's probably...
And with apogee confirmed, Electron's first stage is officially on its earthward trajectory. The next milestone in our recovery operations will be the deployment of the first chute on Electron's booster. We'll stick with the camera views on the rocket for as long as we can, but a reminder, we do expect them to cut out at some point on that return. Meanwhile, Electron's second stage engine is burning bright and beautiful on the way to orbit. The vehicle is currently at speeds of more than 10,000 kilometers per hour and an altitude of more than 200 kilometers.
So yeah, you'll notice that the second stage engine on the left is glowing red because the nozzle extension is made out of niobium or something similar that has a really high melting point, but it also can it's very thin, so it'll radiate
We've
the
got some
heat
good
away.
telemetry coming in for how Electron is travelling to low Earth orbit. If you are just joining us, our 20-second mission is going well so far, with the second stage travelling at more than 11,000 kilometers per hour, more than 214 kilometers above Earth. Electron's booster is now on the correct angle of attack to re-enter the atmosphere from space, where it separated with the second stage as per normal launch procedure a few moments ago. All systems are continuing to perform well across both stages of the vehicle.
They're making this look easy. I love seeing this re-entry on the right. So you're looking down the length of the booster. I should probably grab an Electron, but I'm going to grab what I have in front of me, which is a Falcon 9. Hold on. I'm going to kind of get it into something that looks more like a Electron. So yeah, we're basically looking down the length of the rocket here, looking down at the engines in that right view.
Our next launch event will be the battery hot swap set to take place on Electron's second stage. Because our Rutherford engines maintain their power source from batteries, at a certain point those batteries run out of charge. So we need a fresh new one to keep the engine running. And what we do is we swap the power from the depleted batteries to a third fully charged one, all while keeping the second stage moving at more than 13,000 kilometers an hour. We'll hear that moment called out through mission control shortly before we expect to hear the next recovery operation milestone, that deployment of the drogue parachute. Let's listen in.
Comes that battery hot swap. But we're likely going to lose the downlink on the booster on the right because as it comes in for re-entry, you will see there's a lot of plasma buildup from the air getting compressed and heating up and turning into a plasma. Oh, battery
Hot swap
swap.
successful.
Battery jettison confirmed.
You can see those two little batteries getting popped off there. I love that.
And stage 2 propulsion is holding nominal.
And there we go, that we had the good news of battery hot swap there on Electron's second stage. Next up in recovery operations will be the main parachute release. We should be hearing that call shortly.
AFTS has safed.
Automatic flight termination system, AFTS. Come on, baby. So we're still just looking down out the bottom of the engine of the second stage here, but well, maybe we'll get some views of the first stage as it
HVB
comes
discharge
in.
holding nominal.
So that's definitely one of those technologies that they came up with, was ejecting two batteries at once, so it doesn't offset. Like if you have one kicking off.
Stage 1 main chute deploy.
Ooh, they had stage 1 main chute deploy, so hopefully it. Yeah.
The parachute on Electron's booster has successfully deployed, and so our recovery helicopter is in the air on its way to get a glimpse of the booster coming back to Earth. All going well, the first stage should now glide gently toward the ocean, remaining in the air for another 10 minutes or so from the parachute's release. We'll bring you visuals from the helicopter if we can. Right now, though, high above Stage 1 recovery, Electron's primary mission is continuing nominally, with the second stage powering its way to low Earth orbit. In under 2 minutes, this stage will be approaching its next event, second engine cutoff, or SECO, and then separation from its orbital transfer vehicle, the kick stage, which will carry the 2 BlackSky satellites to their destination. We won't have an immediate engine burn on the kick stage following that separation, as it goes into a coast phase while it's in an elliptical orbit before its Curie engine ignites and jolts it into a circular path for payload deployment. We'll wait to hear that stage separation call come from Mission Control shortly.
Guidance is in terminal, 25 seconds remaining.
Almost done with that burn. Views from the helicopter. Yes. They're doing it. They're live streaming from the middle of the ocean. Yes. This
And
is
SECO
epic.
confirmed.
And a good clean separation.
Stage 3 separation confirmed. Nominal transfer orbit received.
Good transfer orbit. This is awesome. This is all looking great.
There you go, another smooth achievement of our latest mission milestone. The Rutherford engine on Electron's second stage has shut down as planned, and the kick stage has now separated on its way to payload deployment in about 45 minutes or so. Meanwhile, we are getting some views from the helicopter of Electron coming back to Earth. Hopefully we'll see that soon under a parachute. Our helicopter's role here is to maintain a visual connection for as long as it can to record data of the first stage that will help refine our operations for future Electron aerial capture attempts. Electron has around 8 minutes left in the air before it reaches the ocean.
Wow, 8 minutes of hang time.
We are going to take a break now, though, while the kick stage enjoys its coast phase around the Earth. Unfortunately, we won't have a live video feed of payload deployment on this mission, but we will stay with you on this webcast to bring you a simulated view of that occurring. That's expected to take place at around T plus 55 minutes into the mission. And of course, any updates we have on the final moments of our recovery operations, we'll bring them to you here live while we wait the end of the mission. But we will leave you with views from the helicopter if we can keep them up from the splashdown zone as long as we can. And I'll see you back here soon.
Sweet. I really hope we get to see views from that. Well, what music is this they're playing? What stinkers? Huh? Is that Everyday Astronaut? Yes, my friends at Rocket Lab do use my music with permission for their live streams. It's an honor. Yeah, don't forget, guys, by the way, I do have new music up on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, wherever you listen to music. Just search Everyday Astronaut and you will find my new album called Heliocentric. And it's the album that I recorded that the music is written literally to the Falcon Heavy launch, the Falcon Heavy demo launch. So a fun little Easter egg is if you start listening, if you hit play in the music at T-minus 33 seconds with that launch, the whole song will sync up completely to the mission. And the whole album will sync up completely to the mission. It's really fun. So fun little bonus. Check that out. Find it on Spotify and iTunes. And hopefully you guys enjoy that and enjoy the fun little Easter egg. So yeah, so go get it. Heliocentric. Speaking of new things, get ready. We will have some new stuff up in the shop next week, I believe. It's going to release when the video releases. So we're aiming for next week for the Russian video for all those of you asking. But meanwhile, we are doing 10% off of the Aerospike shirt again today. 10% off. All you have to do is coupon code launch day. And scroll on down and find it's going to be under schematics collection. You'll find the Aerospike tee. 10% off today if you use coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, all lowercase, at everydayastronaut.com/shop. Go there, shop there, help support me and continue to do what I do as we get ready for what I think is going to be a long winter in Texas, getting ready for Starship's orbital launch. It should be super fun. So looks like that one is sold out. Oh, great. I'm pointing you guys to a shirt that's sold out. My bad. Oh, no, that's this one. Okay, these are not sold out. Good. I was like, I don't think these are sold out unless we had something happen. Yeah, there you go. everydayastronaut.com/shop. But something else I wanted to show you guys. Let me just so I don't mess something up, I'm going to pull this up here. A lot of people asking. I just want to show you guys how close we are to being done with this video. This is the full cut right here, my friends, of the video. Really excited for this. And you'll see, so actually most of these little placeholders that we have are already updated. All these brown things were the last things that we kind of had to do. I think we got most of those done today, and we will be implementing them into the final timeline tomorrow and exporting and reviewing again Friday and over the weekend, with hopefully targeting a launch for this 1 hour and 33 minute long video. I can't wait. I know you guys know I've been working on this for a long time, and I know I talk about it a lot, but that's because I've been working on it a lot. I've been working on it for a very long time, for over 2 years, and full time on this video now for about 3 months. So yeah, I talk about it a lot because I've been working on it a lot. So I cannot wait for you guys to see it. It should be awesome. So, all right, let's get to some of your guys' questions here. So this is from The Professional. Hey, Tim, love your work. Can't wait to see this. Do we know when the first catch is planned? They haven't really given us anything definitive yet, so we don't really have a hard timeline on it just yet. But as far as I know, they're kind of just one step at a time, similar to how, when people ask, when is Starship this or that, it's like you got to kind of look at the sequence of events. So this mission is important because they're going to be seeing how feasible. This is kind of a feasibility and safety study of the helicopter. How is it okay for the helicopter to go out there in this airspace? How obvious is this going to be, on the horizon? There's a lot of logistics things that they're trying to probably figure out with this particular mission. They did say that they had like 8 minutes left of hang time. So the booster is likely getting about 10 minutes of hang time. So assuming the helicopter is within a reasonable range, I really hope they can find it. It's going to be awesome. So that's kind of what's next. Assuming this goes well today and they come back home and they're like, you know what? We were literally right there. We would have had 4 minutes to be able to scoop it out of the sky. No problem. Then from there, we'll see what happens next. Maybe the next step for them would be, actually trying to catch the next one that's available for recovery. Or maybe the one after that. Maybe they'll do another one like this. Kind of like how they did multiple splashdowns before they got the helicopter. Maybe they'll do 2 helicopter reviews, make sure everything feels good before they go on. Yeah, we don't have an answer on that, but I do hope that I hope it's soon. I don't think it's going to be this year yet. I think they only have one more launch plan this year, but next year seems like it's going to be pretty, I think it's going to be pretty stacked. So yeah, this is a good question from Matt Green. Again, guys, remember, ask a good question. If our mods see it, we'll try and throw it up. How does the performance of the Rutherford engine compare to the Merlin or other small sat launcher engines? Well, Merlin's definitely not a small... Well, I guess it was a small sat launcher when it was on the Falcon 1. But Merlin is substantially more powerful. Let me actually pull up the specs here for you guys. The Merlin, if I recall, altogether is, 1.8 meganewtons. So it's something like 700 or 800... or what is it? No. Divided by 9. 250 kilonewtons? I don't remember. Let's find out here. Merlin 1D. I'm blanking. Okay, so it's almost a meganewton. It's 961 kilonewtons in a vacuum. So almost 1,000 kilonewtons. That's how powerful one Merlin is. And the Rutherford engine is like a tenth of that, if at best.
For confirmation of splashdown of Electron's first stage from the recovery team. If we're not able to bring you live video confirmation of that during today's webcast, we will keep you updated via our social media channels. Meanwhile, we'll be back at around T plus 52 minutes with an update ahead of payload deployment.
Cool. Well, maybe we'll learn something, maybe we won't. Yeah, look, little, they even put my name on there. Thanks, Rocket Lab. Love you guys. Yeah. Okay, so we'll see if they are able to show us a video of successful splashdown. So, all right, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Merlin. So yeah, Merlin is almost 1,000, basically almost a meganewton. Let's see what Rutherford rocket engine is. If I recall, it's much less than that, 24 kilonewtons. Yeah, so It's much less powerful. That puts into perspective just how big and how powerful the Merlin is, and how small and lightweight the Electron is. I mean, that's really impressive that an engine that small is capable of doing that. So, yeah. All right, so Andrew Trier saying definitely not relevant, but what are your thoughts regarding? We got time here, my friends. Ask away. What are your thoughts on regarding Raptor name change / new engine, and that they will have a depot in orbit? So the depot in orbit thing makes so much sense. I think there should be definitely a depot going between, I think this is going to be necessary for HLS to make any sense. I don't think you want to take HLS, the human landing system, that's the lunar lander. I don't think you ever want that leaving lunar orbit, because then you're also taking all of the, human capable systems, all the, the internal volume that's, pressurized, with all the life support, with all the extra batteries, all the extra engines, all the extra considerations for the human landing system. When really, and you definitely don't want to do the opposite. You don't want to take your regular Starship and send it out to the moon into lunar orbit and use that to try to fuel up the human landing system, because then you're carrying fins, heat shields, landing legs, extra engines all the way out to the moon. That is literally just wasted fuel. That's all you're doing at that point, is wasting that fuel. You're much, much better off docking to a dedicated vehicle, right? A dedicated vehicle that is just purely, like Elon was talking about today, insulated. I've argued for a long time that I didn't think we would need, I don't think if you're fueling up in low Earth orbit and then doing an injection to Mars, you don't need a tanker. You don't need a tanker for that necessarily. You might as well just fill up the one vehicle, right? You'll take and launch and go and fill up the one vehicle. So if you're going to just do that, there's no real need for a tanker. But to even get back and forth to the moon and get fuel transferred between Earth and the moon, I really think that the only legitimate option there is a tanker. Otherwise, you're just wasting fuel carrying around mass that you don't need to carry around. So, yeah. I think the other thing, the Raptor name change, no surprise there. It's SpaceX. They're going to be pushing and pushing and pushing. Did Elon say on Twitter something like he's going to call it the Velociraptor, which we've heard many, many times now. This is nothing new. Let me see here. I think he did talk about that. Saying, let's see. What did he say? I thought he mentioned at one point, maybe this is different. He did mention it being the Velociraptor at some point. But we've known that for a long time. We definitely think that's going to be a higher performance, but the way I see Raptors is it's going to go through another iteration change here with Raptor 2. That will likely be the first ones that we really see become orbital and become fairly operational. And it's probably going to be a while if they're really developing a completely new version, or now that they're getting the data and the feasibility of all this stuff. Sure, I don't see why they won't start from scratch, honestly. And it might be 5 to 10 more years before we get into a brand new engine that's really truly capable of Mars, because Mars is a different beast. But all right, let's see here. This is from JM Studios. Why are a lot of new startups using liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen? Wouldn't a denser fuel be more practical, since you get a smaller vehicle and don't need huge ground systems? So yeah, I mean, that's why most companies have always just gone for the Kerlox route. Kerlox being kerosene or RP1, rocket propellant 1. It's very similar to like jet fuel and liquid oxygen, because then you're only dealing with one cryogenic fuel. I had an interview with Peter Beck from Rocket Lab one time on their launch pad at LC2 in Wallops, Virginia, and I asked him basically, why on your upper stage are you still using Kerlox, and would you ever consider upgrading to hydrogen or Methalox to unlock a little bit more performance? And he said, well, he goes, dealing with cryogenics is a pain in the butt. Dealing with one cryogenic is a pain in the butt. If we can avoid having to deal with another cryogenic, we would like to do that. So basically, he's saying that they're happy to keep it simple, and and Kerlox is, but realistically, operationally, if you can handle the investment and really learn how to handle methane, it's a lot cheaper. I mean, the fuel itself, when you start getting down to the really competitive nature of this new era of spaceflight, you do start adding up the costs of fuel. Forget your multi-million-dollar rocket. You even have to consider how much are we spending on fuel. But then you get into how much do we have to pay for this ground support equipment and all these things to make sure we can actually do liquid methane or do liquid hydrogen and do liquid oxygen. All these things. There's so many considerations. I would love and hate to be the people that actually make those decisions, because you look at so many charts and so many overlaps and look for these sweet spots where you're balancing pain in the butt versus cost versus performance versus et cetera, et cetera. So I think some of the new startups are literally using liquid natural gas because environmental impacts, performance, and price. But they are leaning into the idea that they can just knock it out of the park, I guess. We'll see. All right, so Crex wants to know what streaming software I use. Here in Iowa, I use just OBS, good old OBS. But down in Texas, we have Blackmagic, basically everything, with a little bit of Casper, CG software, and a few other little tidbits here and there. But yeah, here, just good old OBS. This is a great question from Joe Hansen. When coming back down from orbital velocity, which this is especially with orbital velocity, but we'll say for now stage 1, which is what they're recovering, why don't they just slow down before entering the atmosphere? Like just dropping down. Could it help prevent so much stress on the heat shield? So let's start with like the booster, like the Falcon 9 or the Electron. Both of which things need to survive re-entry and coming through re-entry. Every little bit of fuel that you'd use to re-enter or land could have been used to put something into space. Could have been used to perform work into getting a payload into space. So you have to consider that the Electron does not have a large margin right now. A lot of the satellites they're flying, it only can fly like 250 or is it 225 kilograms. No, they upgraded, to 300 kilograms to low Earth orbit, if I remember right. Or is it 350? Someone help me. But they, the cool thing with that is, realistically, you are already having a very fine margin of what is even physically capable for the Electron. So if all of a sudden you have to now add fuel in order to be able to land, first off, you're weighing down the rocket more. So now you might need to have like another engine, or you might have to have more powerful engines in order to lift that additional fuel. But then, now all of a sudden we're looking at all these things just compound, So all of a sudden now we have to have all this extra fuel, and we have to take away some of the performance of what would be able to be put into orbit, blah, blah, blah. And it just really compounds very quickly and gets very out of hand. Now, on the other hand, orbit's even way harder because you're going, say, 27,000 kilometers an hour. And it took the entire rocket that we now know it. So say you take a Falcon 9 again, you have your first stage and you have your upper stage. Sorry, I took the legs off. And again, prototype mode. Sorry, this is not anywhere near our finished product. Finished product will be metal and painted and pretty. So say you burn off all of the fuel in the first stage, right? Boop. Okay, now we got to save a little bit to re-enter. They do that. They slow down. And then you burn off all of the fuel in the second stage and you deploy your payload. Now, say you want to slow down and you wanted to make it, say, go as slow as your first stage, right? Because the first stage when it re-enters is only about a quarter of the velocity as something in orbit. So what would it take to slow back down in space, in the frictionless environment of space? The thing it would take to slow back down to the velocity of the first stage is quite literally, you would have to launch an entire upper stage, a second stage. But now this would be your third stage. Your second stage would have to be much bigger than this because it'd have to put all of this into orbit in the first place. And then, of course, if you have a huge second stage, it also means a ginormous first stage. So it all just scales. It's the tyranny of the rocket equation. So if you're trying to slow down before orbital reentry, it's basically just a fool's errand. You might as well use the atmosphere that is free to slow you down. The atmosphere can slow you down for free. It can also destroy you. But if you do the right techniques and do the right things, the atmosphere can slow you down. And all you have to do is dip down a little bit. Literally, when they go in for reentry, like the space shuttle, it only bleeds off like, I don't remember if it's 1 or 3% of its orbital velocity in order to dip down enough to get into the thick enough parts of the atmosphere. That's not much compared to the, again, 27,000 kilometers an hour, remove, I don't know, what is it, like 700 meters per second or something of velocity. And that's enough to re-enter. And then the atmosphere will do the rest of it, the 97+%. It's going to be absolutely insane. Lots of questions about the rockets. Again, these are These are prototype rockets that we are working on. This is the prototype. We're hoping to get these in our store this year. But these will be, again, the real ones will be metal, painted, not fragile at all. Like, you can handle them and not fear them breaking. You can move them around the house. You can have a cat knock it over, and you're not going to cry. All of the grid fins will even work and be mobile, and they'll stick together and do all the things. You can also separate the first and second stage, as I do here, and you'll be able to actually literally stand this up and have this be its own standalone model. All this will come in the box. I'm really excited for this. So this is going to be pretty awesome. Again, they're metal. They're going to be 1/100th scale. And the fun thing for me, the main reason I'm doing this, is that I hate that all my model rockets are at different scales. I love my model rockets. I think they're like the coolest thing. I have others just around my house. I love seeing rockets around the house. I think it's really cool. But they're all at different scales, and it always bugged me. So our entire collection, this is the first. If this goes well, if you guys like this, if you guys buy this, and if you're happy with the quality and with the product, we'll go on to another rocket. We'll probably do Falcon Heavy next because the tooling's mostly there already. Since these are die cast, we have to literally get molds and all this crazy stuff. But if you guys like that, we'll do Falcon Heavy, and then we could do this Space Shuttle and Soyuz and N1 and Saturn V and all of these small sat launchers and you know, Delta IV Heavy, all at the same scale. All of them would be at 1/100th scale. So that's going to be the coolest collection ever because you'll actually see them at the proper scale. Ugh, it bugs me. So there you go. That's what I'm really excited. If you can't tell, I'm really excited for that because I've wanted that for a very long time. So okay, so let's see, where are we at here? Mick wants to know, what is your current thinking on what kind of water deluge system they'd build for Starship launches? I can't imagine they're going to get away without a water deluge system there. And water deluge is where you basically spray the launch pad and the ground with, literally just soak it with water. Like, you'll notice that big giant water tower next to launch pads, especially like 39A and 39B at Kennedy Space Center. And they literally open up taps and let these huge, massive, hundreds of thousands of gallons, whatever it is, drain out and just soak the launch pad. What happens is when the rocket takes off, they put all this water out there so that it gets vaporized, so that it absorbs a lot of the sound and heat energy from the exhaust and turns it into steam, which then, you know, cuts down on the sound, cuts down on the heat. The Saturn V didn't really have much of a water deluge system, but the Space Shuttle did. The Space Shuttle had a lot of water deluge, and the crazy thing is the Saturn V, I don't know how they did that actually, but the Starship's going to be twice as powerful as the Saturn V, so I just really assume they're going to have a water deluge system. We will see, I guess. All right, so this is a good question. We'll probably talk about this, by the way, tomorrow, guys. For those of you watching, yeah, we're doing an Our Ludicrous Future reunion show tomorrow, which is going to be super fun. I'm really excited. It's been way too long since I've been able to catch up with the gang, so we're doing a reunion show tomorrow. This is one of those things I really want to talk about, a spin launch. If you guys didn't see, a startup did a spin launch demonstration the other day where they basically spin up a rocket and then shoot it out of a vacuum-sealed giant launch platform, and then the idea being that can basically become your first stage. Your first stage is basically a giant slingshot. Get your second stage up to nearly the same velocity and altitude as what you would use the first stage for. The hard part is when you're spinning something at 400 some RPM, at that leverage, you're pulling 10,000 Gs. Like literally 10,000 Gs. You're definitely not going to be launching humans. Many satellites made today are literally expecting a 5 to 8 G or something maximum, ride to space. So that's my biggest concern, is like how many people are going to readily sign up and have payloads capable of 100 or 10,000. And actually, Scott Manley brought up a really good point on his video, mentioning that cell phones and a lot of consumer electronics can actually handle that kind of G load. Believe it or not. But, right now satellites are made to be lightweight and, just made for very space made. So it's going to take some consideration. They'd really have to come in extremely aggressively with pricing to really get people to consider. You come down to this whole idea: is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it that much cheaper, safer, more reliable? Yada yada yada. Plus all the pains of having to handle 10,000 Gs and instantly separate and literally, all these considerations. Is that actually going to be cheaper in the long run? And is it cheaper in the long run to now have your customers have to make a satellite capable of 10,000 Gs? All these other considerations. But yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if they ever get a vehicle into orbit. So. All right, let's get okay. So, from Brian Moon. Sorry, I'm probably a little late on these. How big of a window are they anticipating once the helicopter is in range? So again, it sounded like they almost had 10 minutes between parachute deploy and splashdown. So that's a 10-minute window basically of the helicopter to be able to rendezvous with it, and hopefully we'll hear back. I should probably just have Rocket Lab pulled up here in case they tweet about it. Let's see. Nothing yet that I can tell, but yeah, we'll keep going. Is my audio ahead a couple seconds on the live stream? If that might be you, just go ahead and refresh your feed. All right, so this is from Darkside. Well, why are there no launches of Starship lately? What's been going on? Just all you have to do is watch any of the many live streams. You'll see they're still constructing an awful lot. There's a lot of people got really used to the pace of SN8 through 15. But really, realistically, they weren't doing that much. Once they had it set up for 8, as far as the ground systems, and assuming they didn't blow it up, they're good to go for 9, 10, 11, 15. Like really with almost zero consideration. And they were cranking those things out fast. Now to get to the boosters in a full stack, they had to build the launch tower. They had to build the actual launch pad and mount. They had to build the arms. They had to build all of these new things, all the new tanks, all of the new infrastructure. And they have to continue building and getting ready to certify the actual Starship stage that now has 6 engines and a heat shield, as well as the booster, which has 29 engines and needs to have all of these, engine covers and things like that. So there's a lot of work to do, and they've done a lot of work, and they're getting closer. But, the other day, Elon mentioned something like, said we're just waiting on approval. No, approval's not the thing holding up Starship right now. They could not launch it tomorrow, just physically. There's no way. They're still a ways away from it. They're still probably, in my opinion, I'm still feeling like if I go to Texas mid-January, I still won't miss anything. I still don't think, I don't want to miss a thing. I don't even think I'll be missing a static fire of Super Heavy at that point. That's my personal opinion, but yeah. T260 says, SLS fully stacked. Now curious if you think it's going to take off this year. No. They just said the other day that SLS will be summer 2022. So the race is still on. It's still on between SLS and Starship. First orbital launch attempt. So, yeah. All right. So let's keep going here. Wow. Hey, from John Depker. Everyone say thank you to John. Holy crap. Finally caught you live. Like live, you're awesome. Looking forward to all your projects, all good things. Thank you so much, John. John. Thank you, everyone. Please give John a thank you in chat. That means a lot to me. Thank you. I know. Again, I'm sorry that I haven't been. You're not seeing a ton of stuff from me on this channel because I have just had my head down working way too much on this stupid video. But we're getting back into the swing of things. I'm already almost halfway done scripting another video already. It should be a shorter video. Probably still 20 or 30 minutes or something, but a much easier video. So, yeah, I think, so thank you, John, again. And it is funny though, when people are like, Tim, we haven't heard from you forever. Are you okay? And stuff. It's like, this is pretty normal for me. Any of these big videos, like the Raptor engine, the Aerospike, the pollution video, it took like months. I hadn't posted, I think before Raptor, I think it'd been 3 or 4 months. Aerospike was like 2 or 3 months. Pollution video was 4 months really of a scripted video. These ones that take a lot of research and a lot of effort and a lot of the extra animations and stuff just take a long time, unfortunately. So yeah, so thank you again for those of you that do support me, for sticking around and trusting that. I don't know if it's going to be worth it. I don't know. This is a huge risk for me. This video that has taken up this much time in my life, financially probably won't be anywhere near worth it. It's not gonna. I could make a video that says Starship farts, and it would probably have 10 times the views. But I think this is worth it. To me, this is important. This is kind of the thing that embodies the intentions of everyday astronaut, which is making a very complicated, confusing, scary, intimidating topic, like all these Russian engines that almost no one knows all of them, and it's really hard to keep track of, and it's really intimidating to learn. I'm making it easy to learn, and I'm making it a fun story, and I'm doing a lot of the legwork to really lay it out for you guys so that you can enjoy it. That's the whole point, is that you can actually sit, digest, and actually enjoy something that was something that you might not have been familiar with before. And that's really important to me, because I learn that way. I learn by having someone just spell something out for me and digest it. I love like Wendover, real life lore, a lot of these science communicators that, will break down something really, really well. Bill Wirtz's videos, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bill Wirtz. His like entire history of Japan and entire history of the world. I kind of almost treat it like that, where it's like, I want it to be so dense full of information that you can watch it over and over again. And you're going to enjoy watching it because you're going to be learning. There's a lot of great B-roll. There's a lot of good things to see. And I want you to actually like want to watch it again, because you were like, no, there's a Proton launch coming up. Now remind me, what was the engine lineage there? And you'll learn all about the RD-253 and RD-263 and the RD-264 and the 68 and all of the other things, the whole deal. I'm just really excited, and I'm sorry that I talk about it all the time, but it has been my life for the past 2.5 years, or over 2 years. So my bad. Wow, this is crazy. James saying that Scott Manley estimated the end of century for all the material to deorbit from. That's too bad, from that satellite getting shot down the other day. Philip Moyer, what's your level of excitement over the 6 Raptor static fire, and what's your guess for when orbital? So we kind of talked when orbital a second ago. My level of excitement for 6 Raptor static fire, awesome milestone. I watched it, of course. I was tuned in to all of the different static fires myself, watching NSF and Lab Padre. That's great. I'm kind of over Starship static fires. Like, I don't know. They became so routine this last winter, being in Texas. Like, they became so routine that's just like, this is just an engine fire. Now, this one was special because they fired 6 engines for once. The first time they fired all 3 vacuum optimized engines too, along with the 3 sea level engines. Very cool. Great milestone. Probably would have been a lot different audibly to hear. Cosmic Perspective posted an awesome video today, I think, or was it yesterday? I need to tweet about that. With awesome audio from it. They had a really good audio and really good visuals as usual of that event. Really cool. But just kind of another test. I think Booster's 29 engine static fire will be a little bit more exciting to me. That one I really want to see in person. But yeah. This is funny. People in Discord going, are we really at the point where we're calling static fires routine? Yeah. Of course. Like, I was over them in like February. It's just, at some point they just kind of become a thing. Like, we stopped live streaming, I think, after I don't think we static fire or streamed any of the SN10 stuff, because I was just like, what am I going to tell you about this? Like, it's just an engine test, Yeah. All right, let's keep going here. But when orbital, I'm still thinking, honestly, spring, late winter, spring. I don't actually know. I need to catch up on the DART mission. I believe that's the Falcon Heavy mission, but I need to catch up on it. Yeah, I'll gladly admit when I don't know something. That's what we all should do, is just be like, yeah, I don't know, instead of trying to like, I don't know enough about it to give you any deep down rundown, but thank you for your chat. I will learn about it before it launches, so that I can, talk to you guys in depth about it. So, all right, let's keep going here. Boom, 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 boom. This is a good question. Z Astro Boy, they did upgrade the parachute. I don't know if they did a ring sail or a parasail yet. They had been using just a regular ring parachute, a circular parachute, in prior attempts, but they did upgrade the parachute for this launch, and this might be the one where they do go to a parasail. The pre-launch preview is up for DART, so yeah, there we go. If we need a rundown on... Why? This keeps like... Hey, bad news, the Everyday Astronaut website does keep redirecting me to my own live stream whenever I refresh it. That's funny. Let's see. Oh, it's just a Falcon 9 launch. That's right. That's in 6 days. Oh, I better learn about this in a hurry. I am out of touch. There we go. I was thinking, what was I thinking of? What's the next Falcon Heavy mission? That's a Air Force one or something. Or was it like I already forgot. Yeah, I better learn about DART because that's coming up here in a real hurry. If you want to learn about DART too, go to everydayastronaut.com, click on upcoming launches, and you can learn all you need to know about the DART mission. So there we go. Oh man, website crew is gonna fire me for that one. All right, let's see here. Let me keep going. Where are we at? Let me get back to so I can make sure I'm not missing anything on the live stream because we are getting close to that Curie burn. This is from Schizo Jedi. Let's go Rocket Lab. Yes, Rocket Lab is now a public company. That's crazy. They are a publicly traded company. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, but I'm actually really curious. I was talking about this. I don't want to say much because I don't want to be full disclosure. You know, I am an investor. A moderate investor in some spaceflight companies. I definitely believe this is the future. I try to put some investments in there. This is not legal advice or blah, 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 whatever other disclaimer. I'm not trying to tell you what to do at all about anything with stocks. It's basically gambling. But I am really curious. I've been around watching launches for 7 or 8 years now, very intently. I know the emotional sways of a launch getting scrubbed or not working or whatever. And I have a pretty deep, intimate knowledge of how these things work, how big of a deal certain things are, yay and no. I'm really curious what that's going to be like to a marketplace that's woefully unfamiliar with the ins and outs of spaceflight. Like, it's going to be weird. Our market value is going to, totally change because of scrubs or failures. And it's weird. It's a weird time we live in. Yeah, that's that. This is from South Armstrong. Sorry. Do you think an artificial gravity space station would be a beneficial replacement for the ISS? I think for long-term habitation, absolutely we should. If we want to actually have people living and working in space for more than 6 months at a time, yeah, we're going to have to start doing some artificial gravity. It might not need to be 1-to-1. You might only need 0.5 Gs, 0.3 Gs. I don't know, whatever is a relatively decent compromise between size and mass and complexity of a space station while still offering. Maybe you literally can just have sections that are you basically like you sit in a sauna or something, and you have these sections that do produce 1 G through centrifugal force, a spinning section and a counter rotating section somewhere else or something. Where astronauts go and hang out or sleep or something where they still experience, probably not sleep because you want to be able to put weight through your bones, through your spine and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I would hope that we're getting close to that kind of reality, that kind of future where we'll have the capabilities and the willingness and it'll be affordable enough to be able to launch payloads like that, and do artificial gravity space stations someday. Let's see here. On this topic, Mo D 1982. Do I plan on covering other Soviet tech beyond engines, for example, space stations? Let me tell you, after this much stuff with Soviet engines, you'd think I'd be like, I never want to think about them again. Actually, I learned so much about the Soviet rocket program that I can't wait to, and space programs that I can't wait to just keep talking about them. There will be a lot of videos about upcoming things. Like one that I'm really excited about is, of course, comparing directly the Buran to the space shuttle. I know there's been some that compare, but there, a lot of, definitely no offense. I think the videos that I've seen from some really, really good creators are really good videos. But I've learned a lot of stuff that I had no idea about, absolutely zero idea. Just learned a lot. So I'm really, really excited to make a video comparing Buran and the space shuttle and give you guys my opinion on it, on which one I think is better. Who knows? Let's see here. Let's see. I'm going to keep going. I'm trying to read ahead a little bit. This is a good question from Razimbot. How do you think they set the target orbit? Transfer a lot of pre-computed data or just a few numbers, perigee, apogee, inclination, etc., and then the onboard computer does all the calculations and control online? Guidance, navigation, and control is something that I just really know basically nothing about. You can read into it with some older rockets, Saturn V and stuff. You can read into that system pretty heavily. And it's definitely changed. I do know like the nowadays we're getting a lot more 3D about the equations, which is actually really complicated math. Electron can roll and know its vector space, I guess, no matter its axis, and can account for that. Same with Falcon 9. But traditionally, a rocket, say Soyuz rockets, of course I'm going to bring them up, only had a pitch and yaw program. They didn't have a roll program. In other words, they literally, they could roll. They could roll to keep their heading and make sure that they're staying pitching down range, down the right inclination, down the right target line. But the crazy thing is, they actually, in Russia, they actually had to turn the launch pads to align the rocket to where it's heading. They wouldn't do a roll program or anything to actually and continually do that. Now again, that's different than the Saturn V and Space Shuttle. They actually had a roll program, and they'd lift off from the same set inclination, from the same heading. They'd roll to align to where they're going, and then they would pitch over. But they would still always roll and then pitch. And they would do that because it's a lot easier math-wise to literally remove that variable of roll and just only do a pitch program. Now, like I said, nowadays, a lot of these companies are removing that, and they're actually doing the computational whatever it is. This is where it's just like black magic to me. I have no idea. They're like, I don't know. Computer does thing, reads this thing, does a thing, and it all works out. But they are smart enough now to actually do kind of that 3D space. So hopefully that's good. Oh, there's a Rocket Lab tweet. Splashdown stage confirmed. Helicopter has eyes on it. That's awesome. That's very good. So that's great news from our friends at Rocket Lab. That was actually from Peter Beck himself. Let me pull this up here. Copy link. I'm being an old grandpa about this right now today. I'm not. Okay, so yeah, we have confirmation from Peter Beck, the CEO of Rocket Lab. Splashdown of the stage confirmed. Helicopter has eyes on it. That is super, super cool. So I wonder if they actually got shots of it and got to see it while in the air still. That's kind of my question. Did they get close enough, get eyes on it while it was still in the sky, and how are they feeling about that? Because that's definitely the multi-million-dollar question at this point. So very cool. Congrats on a. So hopefully we'll actually hear about it right now. Maybe. Music is fading.
Welcome back to the webcast of Rocket Lab's 22nd Electron mission, Love at First Insight. If you are just joining us, today's launch included a successful on-time liftoff at 2:38 p.m. New Zealand local time, or 1:38 a.m. UTC. After passing through Max Q, Electron completed a clean first and second stage separation. While the second stage continued on its journey to orbit, we received confirmation of the first stage splashdown. We haven't been able to bring you live footage of the first stage descent from the helicopter, but we will keep you posted on today's recovery efforts via our social media channels. Meanwhile, the kick stage has completed its first pass of Earth in an elliptical orbit, and we're now waiting for its Curie engine to ignite and position it into a circular orbit, where we will drop off the 2 BlackSky satellites. For this mission, we've introduced a new deployment process with an adapted kick stage that will see 3 separation events take place. We've mounted a structure to the kick stage called a top hat, which acts as an extension of the upper stage to allow the 2 BlackSky satellites to fit within Electron's fairing dimensions. The first BlackSky satellite that sits on top of the top hat will deploy first, before the top hat itself is ejected, followed by the third and final separation event, the deployment of the second BlackSky satellite. Those should happen in quick succession after the upper stage's Curie engine burn. Let's bring up this animated view of that payload deployment and listen into mission control for the callouts.
Sweet. So yeah, they just have that little tiny third stage, the kick stage. And what's fun about the kick stage is this allows it so the second stage is actually on a suborbital trajectory. So when the second stage, it's not even at high enough velocity to not even create any space debris. They don't have to do a re-entry burn. They just literally let it deorbit. And then meanwhile, this kick stage
Global
goes up
14
and
has deployed successfully.
So they must have done the burn already. She made it sound like it's coming up, even though it's...
We have heard confirmation from Mission Control that the first BlackSky satellite has been deployed from the upper stage. That satellite will drift away for a few moments before we eject the top hat adapter, ready to deploy our second satellite.
So cool that they stack payloads like that. So yeah, instead that white kind of cone thing is another satellite of equal size.
And the adapter has deployed successfully. Stand by for the final payload.
There we go, the top hat has been ejected, clearing the way for the final deployment on this mission of the second BlackSky payload. That should take place in around 30 seconds or so let's wait for the call from our operators.
Sweet. That's so cool. Obviously, this is a simulation. There aren't cameras floating up there in the same orbit at the same time. So these are obviously simulated views. Simulated animated views. Not simulated, just animated. Animated renderings.
And Global 15 deployment confirmed.
Sweet.
There's some great news there that the second BlackSky satellite has successfully deployed by Electron on this Love at First InSight mission. So with both satellites successfully deployed, that completes tonight's 22nd Electron mission and officially brings the count of satellites deployed by Rocket Lab to 107. Thank you and congratulations to our customers BlackSky and Spaceflight for yet another successful mission. We are already looking forward to our next launch with you in a few weeks' time. A huge thank you to you at home for sticking with us through this live stream as well. We're going to end the broadcast here, but keep an eye on Rocket Lab's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages for updates on how we fared with Electron's recovery, and of course, all things Rocket Lab. Thank you for joining us. This is Rocket Lab Mission Control signing off.
Sweet. Wow. Someone's already on the pad already. That is awesome. Huge congratulations. Everyone give a round of applause for Rocket Lab and the teams there, and of course the teams at BlackSky and Spaceflight for arranging that flight. That was wonderful. That was exactly what I wanted to see today. I mean, sans the helicopter views would have been really cool too. I will forgive them for that, but just a smooth, just pristine mission. Congratulations. I love seeing that. And I'm not gonna lie, I get a little bit stressed out ever since the last time I streamed Rocket Lab, they had the failure. They had their second failure. So this is the first time I've streamed since then. I definitely have a little bit more. I was a little more nervous. It's that's the reality of spaceflight. It all has to go perfectly. Literally one little wire crossed or one little anything, and you can fail your mission. There's thousands and thousands of moving parts and events, and all of them have to work perfectly. Any one of those things fails, and you're likely not going to succeed in delivering your customer's payload. So it's scary. It is scary to watch this stuff, but it's exciting and it's rewarding when it does work out. So, yeah. So it's not me, but you know what? I'm definitely not that. What's that called? Paranoid or whatever. The 2 times I think that I streamed failures, I was wearing a piece of Rocket Lab merch. We should look into that. Discord, go back and look at what was the Stop Counting or whatever one, and there was the other one after that. So yeah, I'm not superstitious, but I was wearing Rocket Lab merch for both those and thinking I'm going to wear their Electron hat today, and then it failed or something. I'm going to wear their shirt, and then it failed. So not superstitious, but just kidding. All right, so we got a few more questions here before I wrap up. Let's see. 1 second here. Let me Okay, so a great question here from Caesar, something, I don't know. Do you think Neutron will ever be human rated? Yes, of course. They not of course, because actually Peter Beck has always said we're not going to fly meat. He didn't want to fly people or humans. But then when they did the Neutron announcement, he said that he doesn't ever want to eat his hat again. So he said it will be certified to fly humans. So yeah, so there we go. It should be certified. I don't know if it will fly humans, but they're going to just pre-certify it anyway in case there's ever doors that open up that would have them, you know, who knows if it has the payload capacity, they could win contracts with, you know, any of these other launch providers that are, you know, not launch providers, but these, you know, Boeing Starliner, there's Sierra Nevada's Dream Chaser. There's a handful of companies now that have very capable spacecraft that just pay for a ride. So maybe if Neutron was cost competitive and human certified, sure, why not? So this is from anti-geysering. Musical Wolves. I don't know, what did they mean by anti-geysering? I don't know if I heard that. I don't know if... Can anyone help out with that? I don't know if I'm familiar enough. I didn't hear that, and I don't know what they would have meant by anti-geysering either. It's a great question. Sorry, Musical Wolves. Thank you though for your question. Oh, that's awesome. Angus got their first rocket pictures in flight. Congratulations. Isn't it? Careful. It's very, very addicting. Once you see and witness a rocket and then take pictures of it and get to review it and relive that moment, it's very addicting. So just be careful. Yeah. Oh, part of the deluge system. They said geysering. Anti-geysering. I don't know. Never heard that term before, so I'm afraid I don't have any insight on that. This is a great question here from Howitz. Do those batteries stay in orbit, or is it not circularized yet when they drop them? Because we are currently above liberation velocity. So yeah, it's 100. You're 100% right in saying they're not circularized. So especially when those two batteries eject, they are very much suborbital. So those batteries will burn up on reentry. They're relatively small. They are at very high velocity, so they will entirely burn up. Very small amount. Not that. Don't really worry too much about the environmental impact of that. I don't think any of it would make it even to the ground or anything like that. And the upper stage, again, like I kind of mentioned, they deploy a kick stage. So the upper stage will actually just come back around and re-enter basically on kind of the opposite side of the Earth-ish or whatever, because that's what the kick stage does. The kick stage gets up to apogee, the highest point in the elliptical orbit, of the suborbital elliptical orbit, raises the orbit so that it is in its proper orbit. But the first stage didn't do that, or the second stage, didn't do that. So it's going to just re-enter, and that will burn up those batteries. So, hey, awesome. Thank you, Frankie Salamander, for saying hi. Thank you. C. Hobbs, why swap and not just make the battery twice the size? Why carry around dead weight? That's the real reason. If you don't eject the ejection of the batteries is what helped make them close and be able to be a viable small sat launch provider. If you're carrying around that dead weight, don't forget when batteries drain, they don't really lose mass, like at all. You know, batteries empty and batteries full are basically the same mass. I think there actually oddly is like a very small, minute difference in electron density. Something weird, if I remember right. There is actually, but I'll just say they weigh the same empty or full, right? And that's not the same with rocket fuel. Normally when you have an actual turbine and you have a turbo pump, you are losing, you're spending fuel, which then makes the vehicle lighter in order to spin your pumps. So, and it's a lot more dense. Rocket fuel is a lot more dense than lithium ions, like 100 times more dense basically, or 50 times, substantially more dense. So now you're carrying around this big, heavy, undense, relatively unenergetic thing. So you might as well eject it as soon as you're not using it. So they basically eject those batteries so they don't have to carry around a double the size battery, which that would then detract directly from their payload mass. Say you put up, say you have 100 kilograms worth of batteries and now you have to have 200 kilograms. Well, you're going to remove 100 kilograms of payload capacity. And that, my friend, is not good. So All right. Let's see. This is a great question from Kindmaster 123. Is your music non-copyrighted for YouTube uploads? Thank you for the response. I intentionally make it so my music is not in those systems that would copyright flag. I do ask that if you use my music, I encourage you to use my music for, for your own personal YouTube channels or educational YouTube channels. But please just throw a link in the description and a little credit on screen if you use my music. It's my gift to you. I've been there as a creator. I was always afraid of getting copyright strikes or even having the song title ownership change and then those people sue you and take down your videos. That won't be the case. So I always was like, I'm just going to make my own music. That way I don't have to worry about anyone taking, copyright striking me for my music. But I just wanted to do the same. I wanted to return that favor to other people that aren't going to sit there and make their own music for their own videos. It is a bit ridiculous. So please feel free to use my music. Now, if it is a commercial thing or you want to license it for, a commercial or, by commercial, I mean like not just a commercial, but, if it's a commercial thing, let me know, reach out and I'll license it for you. But it won't get copyright flagged on YouTube. So yeah. How long do the jettison batteries stay in orbit? They aren't in orbit. So they just re-enter and burn up very shortly thereafter. After ejection, they pretty much, it's going to be less than an hour. An orbit's about 90 minutes. So it's, depending on where they're at, might be 80 minutes, 60 minutes, something like that. And they will re-enter because they are suborbital. Yeah. This is a good question here from Man M. It's a decent sized helicopter. They post pictures of their helicopter a decent amount. I believe is this the actual one that's going to be doing the catching? Was it this one? I forget. Yeah, it's that size of helicopter, so not huge. But the booster itself is only, if I recall, it's only about a metric ton, 1,000 kilograms. So 2,200 pounds or so, around there, give or take, I don't know, 10%. But it's pretty light. But it's got to be getting close to, that's also a pretty large thing and a fairly massive thing to be hanging off of a helicopter. So, yeah. Let's see. From Winter Coats, it's a good question. Did they say anything about their Wallops operations? No, they did not. I think they're still waiting on approvals, but that site is ready to go. So I can't wait for that. But they have talked, Peter Beck has talked about having Neutron Rocket fly from Wallops, but things may change. It's space flight. You got to stay nimble. So good chance that they've moved on from that. So let me try and get through. Man, sorry. You guys have asked some really good questions here. Let's see. This is from Stephen Murr. Stephen, welcome. I recognize the name. Hey, Tim's greeting from Northern England. Following your fascinating behind-the-scenes tours at SpaceX Firefly, are there any others in the pipeline? Maybe even one day you get to New Zealand. Maybe 3 years ago I went to New Zealand and did exactly that. Rocket Lab was actually one of the first ones. They were the first company to let me in their factory to do an interview with Peter Beck and a bit of a factory tour. It wasn't quite as open as what we see, with Starship. That was insane. But it's I still got a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff of their factory that is on the channel here. Just type in, everyday astronaut and look for that. Yeah, already done it. Love New Zealand. Can't wait to make it back. Can't wait for this pandemic to be over, so it's not a big deal to go down there for things. Yeah, I definitely. So, let's see. This is from Evan Hill. Saying, do you think it's a good idea for SLS to use expensive RS-25 engines? After they use their supply of shuttle engines, it will be 160,000 in engines per launch. I think you're missing a few zeros there. I think you're missing a lot of zeros. What is it? It's I have all these numbers on our video, but the RS-25 is what, something like 10 or 15 million per engine. It's a lot. I forget. Yeah, can someone remind me? It's a lot of money. So yeah, if it was $160,000 in engines, that would be amazing. But I think you're likely a couple orders of magnitude off. So is it like 40 million? What is it? No, it's like 125 million, isn't it? I'm going to look at my own website, everydayastronaut.com. I'm going to go to posts and articles. And then I'm going to go down here and go to load more of these babies. We'll go to Artemis versus Apollo. Somewhere here we had a pretty decent estimate. Yeah, RS-25 is $125 million per engine. Thank you, Ryan Ghostwriter, Ryan Weber in our Discord, for those numbers. Yeah, I couldn't quite remember. I knew it was a lot. Each engine is $125 million. So each RS-25 engine is more expensive than a Falcon Heavy launch, basically. You're about the same price. So, yeah, I'm not going to say it's cheap. That's for sure. Let's see. This is from Philip. Hey, Tim, we still see heat shield tiles falling off during static fires. Do you think this will cause critical failure during the orbital test? Maybe. If they get to re-entry and Starship doesn't survive because it lost too many tiles, that will be the biggest success anyway. They're not really that worried about re-entry. If they get to stage separation and light the second stage engines and actually do everything that they need to do with Super Heavy, that will be a huge win. They're really not that worried yet. And the good thing is it is stainless steel. So there's a chance that if you had just a few small, if, say you had 20 missing tiles, don't forget that, the space shuttle has had missing tiles before, and that had an aluminum frame underneath it. This is, stainless steel, much higher melting point than aluminum. So the space shuttle has survived with missing tiles. Buran came back with dozens of missing tiles, and it survived. So tiles, although you need overall to have that heat load to be able to insulate enough, I think you can handle small pockets of it, just not big pockets. So there you go. Let's see. Justin S. Could SpaceX launch a Falcon 9 loaded with cameras next to Starship for the orbital test flight? Theoretically, yeah. You theoretically could. If they had a launch pad for the Falcon 9 at Starbase, you theoretically could. But no, then you're just certifying lots of vehicles and having, it's just an absolute nightmare. And why would you have a Falcon 9 for cameras? You might as well do something tinier like an Electron. Even if you've just had an Electron first stage and followed it up to stage separation, that'd be the coolest thing ever. I'm going to pitch for that they start doing that every single launch, just launch a camera next to it. You'd obviously have a lot of risks and a lot of things that would not be worth it at all, but it would be the coolest thing ever. Let's see. Lightning Rod. Tim is such a nerd that he muted his own music premiere to talk about rockets. That wasn't my music premiere. They use my music every launch, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, that is old news. Rockets are always changing. Let's see. This is from Nadia Plays Games. Depots are useful when we start mining comet ice. Oh, 100%. When we start using in-space resources, when we start using ISRU, in situ resource utilization, and mining things on the moon and Mars and comets and asteroids, then yeah, depots will matter a lot. 100%. Yeah. This is from John Depker. This one is for my little girl, Victoria, who's 6. Hello, Victoria and John. Where did you get all the rocket models and spacesuit? These are from all over the place. So these ones in the case are Ollie Braun, BuzzSpaceModels.com. This is a space shuttle, or the Saturn V Lego set. So that's actually Legos, and same with the space shuttle. That's also Legos. The new Shepard, or the new Glenn from Blue Origin is from Blue Origin. Then we have the Firefly Alpha from Firefly. We have Electron from Rocket Lab. They sent them to me. This is the new Shepard from Blue Origin. Then we have 3 ULA rockets from the ULA store. So I got most of them from the launch providers. But again, we are working on getting it so that we can provide you guys with these, because some of these are not available publicly. So that's going to be really, really fun. And yeah, the suit I bought as a joke, like coming up on 8 years ago now. Over 8 years ago. No, coming up on 8 years ago. Right about 8 years ago. I bought that as a joke, and that kind of started this whole thing. If you need to know about that, there is a video on YouTube called How a Spacesuit Almost Killed Me. I tell you the whole origin story of Everyday Astronaut and how I got into this whole thing and how I fell in love with spaceflight. So, yeah. All right. This is from Psychonaut421. First off, no need to apologize, my friend. It's all right. Hey, things happen. And the thing about the internet that we all need to remember, all of us, me, you, everyone here, is it's really hard to read tone on the internet. It's like almost impossible to read tone on both sides of things. So when someone does a comment like, hey, we really miss you, or we miss that, in this case, I think the thing was, maybe I shouldn't have hyped up the video that much. And you're absolutely right, but I take it as, we all take and read things differently. And so for me, like, I need to defend my statement that, like, the reason I talk about the Russian engine video and hype it up so much isn't to, like, falsely hype it up arbitrarily. It's because I've been working on it this whole, like, people ask me all the time, every day, what are you up to? Where are you? What are you working on? When this? And that's when I'm like, I feel the need to update people. Like, hey, sorry, I know it seems like I'm not doing anything, but this is what I'm working on behind the scenes. There's just a lot of people curious. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying something, but it was no sweat off my back. I appreciate you saying something, but don't forget, with the internet, everyone, just a general reminder to all of us that we're all on the same little tiny rock together, and just to be encouraging to everyone. And the things you said were completely true. So, and I hope that my answers weren't snarky back. So if they were, I apologize for that as well. So, just thanks for saying hi. Okay, so this is the, so again, from Musical Wolves, the anti-geysering was mentioned slightly before liftoff. I missed it. Let's see here. I am curious about that. Can we go back and listen to it? Because I would like to try to hear that and see if we can get if someone can get a timestamp on that, so we're not having to right before liftoff. I'm guessing we're talking something like, hang on. Okay, I'm listening here. I'll put up the audio for you guys. Replay mode.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Wait, maybe it was that thing at like 30 seconds? Anti-geysering.
Deluge activated.
Deluge activated. It's a water deluge. But I didn't hear anything else about anti-geysering. Does anyone know what we're talking about there? Unfortunately, I don't know, Musical Wolves. If someone finds the answer, I'll try to say it here. But yeah. This is about the Falcon 9 model rocket. When we don't have pricing, we don't have total landed price yet for ourselves. Our goal for this project, originally our goal was under $500, which if you've shopped around for model rockets, you know that's actually pretty, for a high detailed model, that's pretty competitive. I then said I really wanted to try to make it under $400. And I think we're going to do it. I think we're coming in under $400 for a very high detailed model. A very good, high-quality, detailed model. I think we're going to be right under 400, and I'm really excited about that. I think that's a great price point. Again, models are not cheap. Even, no offense to the ULA ones, but they're really low fidelity, like wooden models or something similar, and they're still very, very expensive. So we're going to be as detailed as just about any other model out there. Configurable, separatable, usable, and a beautiful package, and durable. And I think we're going to be, I think we're going to be under 400. I have not looked into quantized inertia. This is really interesting. I don't know. This is where I'm like not theoretical physicist any sense of any of this stuff. I unfortunately just have no idea what we're even talking about really. So I would love to learn how we can take advantage of vacuum energy, but elegantly getting rid of dark matter. I have no idea. That's definitely well outside of my knowledge base, but I'll keep that in mind. If I run into it at some point, I'll start reading or listening to someone that knows something about it and try to learn. Melissa McDougall, thank you for your membership. Again, don't forget YouTube members and Patreon supporters. The full draft of our Soviet video is up for review right now. We're kind of beyond the review stage. I think we have everything done. So we probably likely won't see your feedback unless it's like urgent. I'll still be checking on it. But at this point, we're kind of closing everything up. It's starting to get a lot more solidified. So making changes at this point is getting to be pretty painful. So this is awesome. I love hearing literally key. You probably inspired one for my college decision where I'm at now. You made me realize how much I'd enjoy aerospace engineering. So now I'm in Huntsville. Yes, that is what this is about. That makes me super, super happy. Everyone, just say thank you and good luck to anyone pursuing their education right now. This is a general thank you. If you're out there trying to learn how to become a rocket scientist or an engineer or a mathematician, if you're pursuing anything in the aerospace community, or just if you're out there furthering your education, thank you. Because I didn't at your age, and that's one of my biggest regrets. And I still constantly debate, should I go back to college now, even in my mid-30s? It's a regret of mine. It's a really big regret of mine that I couldn't stick it out, that I didn't have the willpower and the passion to pursue education in my early 20s. And I wish so bad that I had. And that's a very sincere thing. So those of you that want to go into the aerospace career, you're going to need, for most applications, you're going to need a degree. And I hope you're out there working your butt off for that degree. And I hope that you're out there working your butt off to get us further into the cosmos and explore space, because that's what it takes. It's going to take you. It's going to take that generation, your generation, to actually get us to Mars, get us further into the solar system, and help us understand our place amongst the stars more than anyone else. So thank you. Thank you to literally Key and to anyone else out there pursuing their education. That means that's a lot. So on a totally different subject, switching channels here, Daniel Hurin, as a compromise, you can still use the title Starship Farts. Not a bad idea. Maybe instead of the entire history of the Soviet rocket family tree, I will just change the name to Starship Farts. And maybe that will then boost the views 10 times. Let's see. So that's awesome. From Frank Brands. Hey, Tim. Or thanks, Tim. Thank you so much, Frank. I'm going to just get through these last ones here so I can wrap up and have dinner. Thank you very much. And from John Depker. Space is hard, but you make it easy. Me and my little one watch you, NSF, and a dude named Scott. We love you all. Or we love you. Thank you so much, John. And yeah, of course. I'm one of many phenomenal channels on YouTube covering spaceflight. There is a lot of awesome YouTubers out there, dedicated people doing much more frequent uploads than I would ever consider even thinking about doing, and covering stuff constantly. The NSF team and Lab Pottery team for all these live streams constantly is just insane. And all the other creators, Scott Manley, who's uploading at least once a week. Same with like Felix and Marcus and all these guys that are on this grind constantly. To me, I feel good knowing that there's these excellent resources for people to get their feed every day, and they're to be fulfilled and on top of everything all the time. That's not me. I can't even keep up with all this stuff. I like what I do. I've never really done that. It's funny because people are always like, "Why you're missing out on this, Tim? What are your thoughts on this?" Like, I've never done that. Besides our Ludicrous Future podcast where I'd casually talk about things, I've never been someone to frequently upload and have like an opinion on everything and breaking things down every week of what happened with every bolt on a vehicle or anything. That's not me. I like trying to take on the bigger picture things and these hard to figure out subjects like the Aerospike engine or Raptor engine or Soviet rocket engines, all these different things. I enjoy that. That's what I enjoy the most because those are the things that I've had the biggest question marks. It's takes a lot of thought and love for me to try to figure out how to do these videos, and I enjoy that. It's a fun challenge. So, all right, this is one of the last two questions here. Greg Swanson: will the Falcon 9 keep its fins folded on ascent, or will they eventually be locked open like Starship Booster will be? I'm guessing they'll always fold in the Falcon 9's grid fins on ascent. So this is a great question because you will notice that Starship is going to keep its grid fins out during ascent, but the Falcon 9 is more or less relatively locked. They're not worried about squeezing every little drop of performance out of it anymore. It's just a workhorse. It's got a backlog of things. Why risk it at this point? I just don't see any benefit of them removing the little bit of hardware to lift those grid fins. I think that when you're starting from scratch, like Super Heavy, no big deal, and Starship and Super Heavy, no big deal. But I don't think we'll see anything like that on Falcon 9. So that's just kind of my personal opinion. But yeah, Boatbird, thank you for becoming a member. Ian Chase, you have bridged the gap between my adopted grandson and I. Thanks for being you, Tim, and doing what you do. It's huge. How many interviews have you had with Elon? Mad respect. Thank you so much, Ian, and to you and your adopted grandson. That makes me really happy that you have a bond with them to be able to share these exciting moments together. That's huge. And family is sometimes who you choose, and in the case of adoption, you're literally choosing your family. So that's really important and really precious, and means a lot that you and your kids are raising someone. That's amazing. So thank you for sharing that bond with me, and I hope that you continue to do so, because there's a lot of really exciting things coming. So, all right, and from Nick Clark, appreciate all of your streams and all of your videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Nick. Again, thank you. You guys are awesome. This community is amazing. I would not be doing this stuff. I probably would be. No, I would be doing this stuff. I was doing this stuff before I had any kind of audience to do it to. I can't help it. It's exciting. It's things that I lose sleep over still sometimes. But it's really, really fun. So I think it's time for me to wrap up. Tomorrow, again, you will hear more from me again tomorrow. We're doing an Our Ludicrous Future reunion show. Look for my Twitter feed. Look on my Twitter feed if you want to join in that. We'll be catching up on the last 6 months of life together, probably for a while. No real timestamps, other than I want to keep trying to finish this video and get it copy and sent up, get ready to publish so we can publish it next week. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining me. It really means a lot. Again, if you want 10% off our Aerospike shirt, everydayastronaut.com/shop. Use coupon code launch day. But I was also trying to read this last one from Gary. Geysering occurs when heat enters the liquid oxygen tank system and forms gas bubbles, which is bad. Anti-geysering systems minimize this. I learned something. I did hear a little bit of speak with that with Tom Markusik from Firefly when he was talking about that kind of stuff. That stuff fascinates me. I really need to learn more about thermodynamics and break that down for you guys. So thank you guys so much, and John Spencer. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth, and hopefully a Soviet family tree video before the next time you see me live, maybe-ish, but for sure before Thanksgiving, because otherwise I won't exist anymore. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Bye, guys.